Greetings, welcome. This is Lighthouse Yoga, Tarot, and Astrology. This is a reading from Paul Foster Case's The Tarot, A Key to the Wisdom of the Ages. Chapter 2, Occult Meaning of Numbers. In this chapter, we shall consider the occult significance of the numbers from 0 to 10. With particular reference to the esoteric meanings of the so-called Arabic numerals. As a matter of fact, these numerals were invented by Hindu priests, from whom they were borrowed and slightly altered by the Arab mathematicians who introduced them into Europe. The key to the meaning of the numerals is the diagram which appears as the frontispiece of this book. Readers of these pages who are familiar with occult symbolism will perceive that the basis of the construction of this diagram is the six-pointed star known as the Shield of David and the Star of the Macrocosm. Years ago, one of the Theosophical masters declared that the system of 6 circles, tangent to a central seventh, is a key to the construction of the cosmos. At that time, the master's meaning was not grasped by the student to whom the statement was made. I hope the inclusion of this diagram in the front of the book may stimulate some of my readers to further research. Want of space forbids my developing the various details. I shall therefore content myself by saying that this one diagram is a key to the geometrical construction of the Great Pyramid, to a very close approximation to the squaring of the circle, to the true occult meaning of the apron worn by Freemasons, to the correct construction of the Kabbalistic diagram known as the Tree of Life, which has been called a key to all things, and to the proportions of the mysterious vault in which the body of the founder of the Rosicrucian order is said to have been discovered. These are but a small selection of the mysteries to which this one diagram affords a clue. I shall confine myself to its numerical significance. In Arabic notation, all numbers are represented by 10 symbols, beginning with 0 and ending with 9. They are thus derived from the diagram. 0. An ellipse, representing the cosmic egg, whence come all things. 0 is a symbol of the absolute absence of quality, quantity, or mass. Thus, it denotes absolute freedom from every limitation whatever. It is a sign of the infinite and eternal conscious energy, itself no thing, though manifested in everything. It is that which was, is, and shall be forever, but it is nothing we can name. Boundless, infinitely potential, living light, it is the rootless root of all things, of all activities, of all modes of consciousness. In it are included all imaginable and unimaginable possibilities, but it transcends them all. The Kabbalists call it A, no thing, B, the boundless, C, limitless light. Pure conscious energy, above and beyond thought. To us it is superconsciousness. The descending arc of the ellipse on the reader's left represents involution, the winding up process whereby limitless light manifests itself in name and form. At B, the lowest point of involution is reached in the mineral kingdom. From B back to A, on the right side of the ellipse, the ascending arc represents evolution, the unwinding process. From B to F is the arc of evolution in the inorganic world. From F to H is the arc of organic development up through plants to animals. H to D is the arc of organic development from the lowest animal to the highest type of human consciousness at point D. Only a few human beings have reached this point, but the race is nearer to it now than ever before. The arc from D to A is that of conscious expression beyond human levels, the evolution of conscious oneness with the divine. Thus, the two sides of the ellipse suggest the esoteric doctrine of involution or descent and a corresponding evolution or ascent. The ascending arc corresponds to the occult doctrine: first the stone, then the plant, then the animal, then the man, and at last the God. 1. In the diagram, the number 1 is the vertical line from A to B, connecting the extreme height with the extreme depth. Among the many occult meanings of this number are beginning, initiative, originality, unity, singleness, isolation, and the like. In the Kabbalah, it is called the admirable or wonderful intelligence, the supreme crown, to show that 1 represents the determining, ruling, directive, and volitional aspect of consciousness. This primary mode of consciousness is concealed behind all veils of name and form. It is the consciousness of the true self, or I am, the onlooker, seeing creation through countless eyes, manifesting itself through innumerable personalities. Ageless wisdom teaches that all things are manifestations or projections in time and space of the powers of the I am, in capitals. In short, the I am, in capitals, or number 1, is the essence, substance, energy, and consciousness expressed in all forms. Everything in the universe is the self-expression of the I am. This is the first principle, the primary existence, the first mover. In and through human personality, it manifests as the waking self-consciousness. 2. On the diagram, this number begins at C, follows the upper circle through D to the center of the diagram, thence through the lower circle to E, and is completed by the horizontal line from E to F. The meanings of the number include duplication, reflection, receptivity, dependence, alternation, antagonism, and the like. Kabbalists call it wisdom, the reflection of the perfect self-consciousness of the I am. Wisdom is the mirror wherein the I am sees itself. The number 2 is also named illuminating intelligence. It is that which illuminates the personal mind. It is the aspect of universal consciousness which manifests through human personality as grasp of the inner principles of the nature of the one conscious energy. In Hebrew occultism, 2 is also the particular number of the life force in all creatures. 3. The upper half of this figure is the same as the upper half of 2 from C through D to the center of the diagram. Its lower half begins at the center of the diagram and follows the lower circle through F and B around to E. Among the meanings of 3 are multiplication, development, growth, unfoldment, therefore expression. 3 signifies the actual outworking of the principles reflected from 1 by 2. In Kabbalah, 3 is understanding, looking forward into the field of manifestation, in contrast to wisdom, which looks back to the self-knowledge of the I am. Understanding is the concrete application of abstract wisdom. Hence, 3 is called the sanctifying intelligence, to convey the idea that through growth or expression comes the perfected manifestation of the potencies latent in the limitless light. On the form side, perfect realization, sanctification, requires perfected organism, In consciousness, it is perfected faculty and function. 4. This figure starts with the vertical line of the figure 1, A to B on the diagram, and adds 2 other lines, A to G and G to H. Thus drawn, 4 shows in its upper portion a triangle, symbol of the number 3, and its lower portion a T-square, a geometrical symbol of 4 itself. Triangle and T-square are among the most important instruments of the draftsman. They have occult reference to the esoteric side of geometry. They suggest planning, surveying, topography, and the like. From these considerations are derived the following meanings of 4: order, measurement, classification, recording, tabulation, and so on. Because of these meanings, Kabbalists make 4 the number of memory. Because the life power's perfect memory of its own potencies and of the needs of even the least of its centers of expression cannot be supposed to fail, the idea of beneficence, good givingness, is also assigned to 4. This beneficence is not wasteful prodigality. All the gifts of the life power are measured out. Every center of expression receives exactly what is coming to it, always. Therefore, the number 4 is called the measuring intelligence. 5. On the diagram, the first line of this figure is the horizontal C to D. The second is vertical C to I. The third includes 5/6 of the lower circle from I through F and B to E. Meanings of 5 include mediation, because 5 is the middle number between 1, beginning, and 9, completion. Adaptation, means, agency, activity, process, and the like. 5 is the dynamic law proceeding from abstract order. 4. To primitive minds, the working of law seems to be the operation of many forces, mostly hostile to man. Hence 5 is the number of versatility, and one of its names in Kabbalah is fear. Ignorant persons endeavor to propitiate the power they fear. Their sacrifices are the beginning of religious ritual. Hence 5 is the number of religion. A better, though incomplete, knowledge of law sees it as a relentless, harsh, mechanical expression of mathematical principles, taking no account of human needs and aspirations. This is the interpretation of the materialist, who sees the law, capital L, as a mighty power. Hebrew sages take account of this also and say that 5 is the number of strength and severity, as well as of fear. Finally, to seers and sages, law appears as the manifestation of perfect justice, whereby man, whose numerical symbol is also 5, may also adapt natural conditions that he may realize progressive liberation from every kind of bondage. 5, then, is the number of versatility because it shows the changing aspects of the one law, inspiring fear in the ignorant, perceived by the materialist as relentless strength, and understood by the wise as undeviating justice. This one law is the root of all operations of the life power, and is therefore called radical intelligence. The root consciousness expressed through human personality is this one law of mediation and adaptation. Man can change conditions. This is the secret of his power to realize freedom. 6. On the diagram, this is a continuous line from D to A, down through the ellipse on the involution curve to B, then around the lower circle to E. Its symmetry suggests the philosophical conception of beauty. This is the direct outcome of ideas expressed by the preceding numerals. A life power, 0, knowing itself perfectly, 1, grasping all possibilities of what it is in itself, 2, understanding just how these possibilities may be worked out into expression, 3, never forgetting itself or any detail of the perfect order of its self-manifestation, 4, and developing that order through the agency of a perfectly just law or method, 5, must inevitably be working toward a perfectly symmetrical, balanced, and therefore beautiful result. This idea is implicit in the following meaning of 6. Balance, equilibration, symmetry, beauty, harmony of opposites, reciprocity, complementary activities, polarity, love. It is named intelligence of mediating influence, or intelligence of the separated emanations. 7. On the diagram, this is composed of 2 lines, the first horizontal from C to D, the second diagonal from D to E. To exhaust the meanings of 7 would take as many pages as an encyclopedia. It is the great biblical number. Many books in both the Old and the New Testaments being written on a plan of 7s, 7 chapters, 7 subdivisions, and so on. On this point, see the literary introductions in Moulton's Modern Reader's Bible. The more important occult meanings of 7 are rest, safety, security, victory. To the ancients, 7 represented temporary cessation, not final perfection, as some have thought. In Hebrew, the word for 7 and that for oath are closely related, since the security and safety of a sworn compact were represented in Hebrew thought by 7. This number stands for the logical consequence of the ideas symbolized by the numbers preceding it in the series. A perfect life power working in the way outlined in the explanation of 6 cannot be supposed to fail. Omnipotence must ultimately, no matter what present appearances may be, arrive at a triumphantly successful conclusion to all its undertakings. The great work is as yet unfinished. The cosmic experiment has not come to completion. But when we consider the nature of the source of that experiment, the nature of the worker in that work, reason assures us that it must succeed, down to the minutest detail. The aspect of consciousness to which 7 corresponds is called the occult, or hidden intelligence. 8. On the diagram, this is a figure composed of the upper and lower circles within the ellipse. In writing it, we begin at A, describing a descending S to B, and return on an ascending inverted S to A. Thus, the form of the figure suggests vibration by the shape of the lines, and alternation by the 2 kinds of motion used in describing it. It is also the only figure except 0 which may be written over and over again without lifting pen from paper. Thus, in mathematics, the figure 8, written horizontally, is the sign of infinity. Among its occult meanings are rhythm, alternate cycles of involution and evolution, vibration, flux and reflux, and the like. It represents also the fact that opposite forms of expression, that is, all pairs of opposites, are effects of a single cause. See, on this point, Isaiah 45, verses 5 to 7. This number 8 is the digit value of the name Yod-He Vav-He. 888 is the numeration of the name Jesus in Greek, and 8 is not only the dominical number or number of the Lord in Christian numeral symbolism, but is also the particular number of the god called Thoth by Egyptians, Nebo by Assyrians, Hermes by Greeks, and Mercury by Romans. Thus, 8 is preeminently the number of magic and of Hermetic science. Its Hebrew name is splendor, and the aspect of consciousness to which it corresponds is called perfect intelligence. The Hebrew adjective translated perfect is shalom. A noun spelt with the same letters means peace, security, health, wealth, satisfaction, and thus refers to the perfect realization of the success represented by the number 7. 9. On the diagram, it begins at D, follows the upper circle down to the center of the diagram, continues back to D, then along the line of the ellipse on the right side of the diagram to E. As last of the numeral symbols, 9 represents the following ideas: completion, attainment, fulfillment, the goal of endeavor, the end of a cycle of activity. Yet, because 8 indicates rhythm as part of the creative process, completion is not absolute cessation. The end of one cycle is the beginning of another. This fact is the basis of all practical occultism. Nobody ever comes to the end of his tether. Nobody ever reaches a point where nothing more remains to be hoped for, where nothing remains to be accomplished. Every end is the seed of a fresh beginning. In Kabbalah, therefore, 9 is called basis or foundation, and corresponds to the mode of consciousness named pure or clear intelligence, because the completion of any process is the pure, clean, unadulterated expression of the intention or idea which initiated that process. 10. 10 combines the ellipse of superconsciousness, 0, with the vertical line of self-consciousness, 1. It is the number of perfection and dominion. Read from right to left, from units to tens, as all composite figures should be read symbolically, it suggests the outpouring of the limitless life power through the initiative, specialization, and concentration of the I Am. Kabbalists call the number 10 the kingdom. The mode of consciousness assigned to it is the resplendent intelligence. Brilliant, glowing, full of life and power. In one esoteric text, this mode of intelligence is said to have its seat in understanding, and understanding is the number 3, or sanctifying intelligence. What is meant is that in order to have the resplendent, glowing consciousness of mastery, one must have also, as a basis, the sanctifying, perfecting, organizing power of understanding. Our citizenship in the kingdom of heaven on earth is determined by the degree of our understanding. Such is the outline of the 10 primary numbers, according to ageless wisdom, as handed down to us through the sages of Israel. It affords a basic clue to the meaning of tarot. For instance, the whole book, or pack of cards, contains 78 pages. Interpreting the number 78 from the foregoing, we see that it represents the expression of the splendor of the perfect intelligence, 8, through the victory of occult intelligence, 7. Precisely this is the great purpose of tarot. In the practical work of the builders of the Adytum, the esoteric meanings of the numeral symbols have been expanded into a series of 11 statements or affirmations. These are entitled the pattern on the trestle board, because, while they are at all times true of the real self at the heart of every human personality, They are not intended to be taken as vainglorious claims to personal attainment. They will aid the reader to remember the main attributions of the numbers 0 to 10. More than this, they have, during the last 25 years, proved their value as seed ideas, which, planted in the mind by thoughtful and purposeful repetition, bear rich fruit in mental and spiritual unfoldment. The pattern on the trestle board. This is truth about the self. 0. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. 1. I am a center of expression for the primal will to good, which eternally creates and sustains the universe. 2. Through me, its unfailing wisdom takes form in thought and word. 3. Filled with understanding of its perfect law, I am guided, moment by moment, along the path of liberation. 4. From the exhaustless riches of its limitless substance, I draw all things needful, both spiritual and material. 5. I recognize the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. 6. In all things, great and small, I see the beauty of the divine expression. 7. Living from that will, supported by its unfailing wisdom and understanding, mine is the victorious life. 8. I look forward with confidence to the perfect realization of the eternal splendor of the limitless light. 9. In thought and word and deed, I rest my life from day to day upon the sure foundation of eternal being. 10. The kingdom of spirit is embodied in my flesh. Thus ends the chapter, The Occult Meaning of Numbers, from Paul Foster Case's The Tarot, A Key to the Wisdom of the Ages. Please forgive any mistakes in the reading that I may have perpetrated. Thank you so much for listening. Please comment, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.